All right, the day has come to cut this thing open to see what's inside. You know, I wasn't really sure how popular cutting this open would be since it's an electronic lock, not a mechanical lock, but the response was pretty clear. Cut this thing open. And I have a new toy. TJ sent me this for Christmas. Check it out. Just mash that button and yeah. But I will not be using this to cut it open. This is a very cool, by a company called Microtech. Yeah, anyway, you pull this to recock it. There's where the Microtech is with their model number Halo 6. Very cool knife. Yeah, I'm going to hurt myself with that. But I will not be using that. Instead, we're just going to use a straight up razor. So let's cut it open, see what's inside. All right, that was pretty thick, and they had epoxied it in a few places, but it's cool. All right, what do we got here? We have the LED, and yeah, just straight up body. All right, let's cut this open right there. All right, guys, very heavy metal case on this guy. Got a double layer at the base of it there, so it'd be quite a job to hacksaw through this thing. You could do it, but you're going to be there a while. When we get that off, we notice a couple of things. First of all, here's the key carrier. Very heavy aluminum, and I know that because I started out plunging a little bit too deep on the milling machine there. So, yeah, quite substantial. And then there's two springs that are pushing it in that direction. Leads you to believe that it's trapping it in there. So I'm going to push it up against those springs, and then I'm able to lift it up. And in fact, when you look on the other side of this, you'll see a couple of cutouts, and they should look vaguely familiar, kind of like that one off of the shackle. So a little cutout. Something on the solenoid will get trapped behind that initial hook there on the end and get stuck in that little trough, that little cutout. And that something would be this dual solenoid. Now, these are spring-loaded, and this is probably the same one that's up there, so I'm going to take a chance here. Here's the cutout, and it's pretty close, I think. So, yeah, it's almost exact. So you can see how that would get trapped behind there and be really difficult to get that to get out of there. Yeah, you could do it, but take some awful beating. It might be difficult on the tray, though, because you have to compress it upwards first at the same time you hit it and hope that both of those solenoid plungers, yeah, retract. Probably not going to happen. That's very low probability attack. All right, looking at this guy, again, look, I had never opened one of these before. I zipped off the top of it, and the entire circuitry and everything, plus the shackle and probably another solenoid battery, all the other good stuff, behind this heavy plastic thing, which is held on by, it appears to be these two rivets, maybe some glue. Let me drill these guys out, and let's see what we got on the other side of this. All right, turned out those two rivets were steel. I just ground them off. Now here's something interesting. If you have wrapped this open, you've wrapped out your shackle like we showed you, then there's nothing really holding this inside of there except those two rivets. So you probably would be able to simply slide everything out of the housing. But those two rivets, yeah, they're pretty tough, I got to say. Anyway, got them ground off, flip it over, and we find our battery. We have the upper solenoid that's going to lock the shackle. And this looks like it's rubber, so we get that out of there. Looks like all of the circuitry is going to be potted or waxed. I may be able to scrape that off of there. Anyway, we have our battery. We have the two powers going to each solenoid. And that is it. Let's see if we can pop that out of there. Grab a screwdriver. A prying tool. Probably better to go from the side to disengage that. Maybe. There we go. Come out of there. All right, so there's our locking pawl for the shackle, and indeed it does, get this up here so you can see, it does have the cutouts just like the one below. They're probably identical. They're probably from the same manufacturer, probably even the same part number. I mean, why deviate? I have a Torx. There's a Torx. There's probably one down beneath. Oh, here's some circuitry. Let me pry this stuff out of here and let's take a look at that. All right, there's your circuitry. This was simply those same 2 rivets that had been ground off. They're holding it to this very thick piece of metal. This is probably a protection mechanism, maybe even a heat sink, but I can't imagine these generate too much heat because this little battery couldn't generate too much wattage. It really wouldn't generate a lot of heat. Beneath here we have a serial number and then also a capacitor, which I'm not going to, probably doesn't hold much voltage, but probably doesn't hold much, but it's probably to keep things charged up. Once, if the battery dies, this will retain all of the memory and all the codes that are inside of this thing. All right, let me get a Torx. Let's see if we can pull the electronic package out of here. First guess. All right, I would imagine this is mostly for waterproofing. Everything about this thing seems pretty well designed. We're just going to find a bunch of circuitry in here. Yeah. Nothing really to see on that side. It kind of makes you wonder how the batteries charge. It's probably remotely. There's probably an induction charging because, well, there'd have to be. Let's not even speculate. There would have to be because there's no external plug to plug this in. Yeah, nothing really over here to look at. So everything's built into, looks like about 5 integrated circuits. Here's a couple more over here, 3 more on this side. So I'm not even going to speculate. I'm not a double E, so I can't even guess here, guys. But pretty compact for all the security it gives you. Anyway, guys, there you go. All the parts. It's going to take me an hour to clean this mess up. So anyway, that is the iBox BT LE and in all its glory. Appreciate your time, guys. Stay safe. Stay legal. All right, my first ever commercial. Been doing this a long time, never done this, and I'm going to use it to talk about how things are going to get better in 2021 for the LockLab. All right, first of all, a lot of you have asked about the giveaways. Am I going to continue it? And the answer is, look, as long as I've got supporters, yes, of course. I'm going to continue with the 4 giveaways every week. I'm going to continue to post the winners on LockLab.com on the U1 page. The idea behind that, of course, is, yeah, if we can attract new pickers, we can expand the lock sport community. There's a lot of incentive for manufacturers to give us better gear, higher quality at a reasonable price. So, yes, we are going to continue with 4 giveaways every week. A couple of you have noticed, or maybe more than a couple, that I've begun hosting other lock pickers on LockLab.com on the video stream. And that's because there are a lot of very gifted lockpickers out there producing some really good videos. So too many of us have gotten into that trap where we're watching like 1 lockpicker and that's it, or maybe 2 at the most. I'm doing this to widen our horizons, not just for you, but also for me. I want to learn, and the only way to do that is to watch these other very gifted lockpickers. And so if you know a lockpicker that you'd like to see, please let me know. I'll approach them and see if I can get them to agree to let me host them on LockLab.com. Also, I'm going to be expanding what I call, well, it's the reference section now, but I'm going to call it the technical library. Right now, we've got a lot of free downloads on there. Things like 3D plans for trays and followers and jackknives and stuff like that. So you can, if you got access to a 3D printer, you can download it and make your own. There's also a lot of articles and decoders and technical art, disassembly manuals, things like that, all for free. There's a bunch of key guides. It's all for free. But the idea is I want to continue to expand that. I want this to be our reference section. So if there's something you want to see, maybe you have something you'd like me to post, please get with me. I'll be happy to do it or track it down. If I can do it without getting a copyright violation, I would be more than happy to do that. Anyway, I can promise to keep this short. I will. My only other goal is, not to stab myself with this. Other than that, stay safe, guys. Stay legal.